living, working, and creating from the road in a Class B van along with my dog, Willie Nelson. Making friends by talking to strangers.
I'm Milo, and this is Milo Talks.
Welcome to Your Life is the name of a novel written by Paul Costoff. I had never heard of Paul nor this book, but that soon changed on a Friday afternoon when I drove out to the beach to clear my head. I turned into the beach parking lot where I saw several RVs were already parked there. Now, for some people, this may give them anxiety because it was already kind of busy. There are a lot of other cars, and maybe you want to be isolated. But in this case, I was excited. I was excited for the possibility of meeting other people who were traveling. Now, I didn't know if they were a convoy or if they just happened to all be there at the same time. It turned out that that was the case. They just happened to be there at the same time, and they were all outside of their rigs chatting. So I walk up with Willie Nelson, of course, because I can't wait to talk to these people. Paul Costoff was one of those individuals, and his story was so interesting to me that I asked if he would be on my podcast. What you're about to hear is my conversation I had with Paul. I was asking him questions about traveling in his van and also about the book that he wrote and the book that he was in the process of writing while being on the road. This is Paul Costoff. Where are you tonight?
Tonight, I am in, I think it's called Foley, in Alabama, in a Walmart.
Okay. Oh, you're at a Walmart parking lot.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a big change.
Yeah,
from
it
where
is.
You were.
It is, but that's just the kind of day it was.
Sure. What brought you to the beach parking lot where we met?
That's kind of a big deal place for me. So in my novel, Welcome to Your Life, my character has this moment where she says, kind of, fuck it, I'm going to the ocean. And so she takes the most direct route she can. She runs down to New Orleans, but you don't really see the ocean in New Orleans. And she's really just kind of on a mission. And so she continues to head east. And really, it's that bridge over Bay St. Louis where that's where you first get your look, where the sky meets the horizon, or the sky and the sea meet at the horizon. And then in the book, when I was using Google Earth, I found that spot. I'm like, oh, cool, there's a little beach right there. I'll have her go to that beach. So she crosses the bridge, she turns off, she goes to the beach. And so I wanted to see it for myself in person.
Okay, so let's back up a bit. First off, you are driving what type of van are you in? It
is a ProMaster. It's I think it's the 2500?
What year is it?
It is a 2014, and so it's a little bit older, but the engine is pretty new. I think 120,000 miles maybe, and the engine only has about 15.
And it's a conversion, but you did not build it. You bought it this way.
No, I had such a great experience. The guy I bought it from picked me up from the airport in Charlotte, North Carolina in the van, drove me to my Airbnb, and spent like 2.5 hours going through every system with me. And then I bought it from him the next day. But I mean, he could not, and he threw in so much stuff, gave me all this extra information. He went so over and above. It was really cool. And he's the one who did the build.
What was the quest? Like, how do you end up in a van?
I was thinking about, as I drove through Biloxi today, when in, let's see, it would have been 1990, I drove through Biloxi. I'd been on the interstate, and I had been living in my car. And as it turned out, I made it as far as Biloxi, and then I turned around and I went back to Colorado, and I got married. It was, I went back for a woman, and then I never did any of this traveling again, but I've always wanted to. And now that I have an opportunity, here I am. I don't know. It's always just been a draw to go around the corner, to see what's over the horizon, to go check out other interesting things.
So we're going to have to really back up on that. Hold on. hold on. you were living in your car. How old are you at this point?
I would have probably been 22 because I got married when I was 23, and I believe that was like the following summer or whatever. But yeah, I was going to go down. I was going to go down to South Padre Island in 10 Bar for spring break. And I went down to Corpus Christi. It was pretty gross. And so then I kind of kept going east, and I didn't really know what I was doing. I was kind of lost. I had some other stuff going on, and I really wasn't not a real definite plan. And I made it as far as Biloxi, and I'm like, I don't want to do this alone. I had recently lost my brother, and so I was dealing with that, and I don't know, I was just kind of in a weird place, and I ended up going back and getting married.
Well, at 22, to just set out on an adventure with, and like you just said, you had some other things obviously going on with the loss of your brother. That's hard. It's hard now. I mean, how old are you now?
I just turned 54.
Happy belated birthday. And
thank you.
Can you imagine your 22-year-old self doing what you're doing now?
Well, on pre-internet, I mean, I think it's so much easier to do this kind of thing now and get information about where to go. And but without the internet and paper maps, and you can't just, it was so much more difficult. And it's probably why I botched it. That's too hard.
I completely understand. I can't imagine my 22-year-old self doing this either. I think I needed the backbone that life gave me to actually get here. Not that there aren't a lot of really successful young people doing this, maybe even doing it better than we are. But my 22-year-old self would not have had the skill set or the mental fortitude it takes to do this.
Yeah, and we talked the other night. One of the things I thought was interesting too, you talk about your experience in doing it, and I have family I talk to, or they get a little worried or whatever. I talk to my mom, and one thing I always think about is I'm a white man in America. Nobody bothers me. It's a different experience for me than I imagine it is for you.
I think so, but only in the sense that I have to be very mindful about where I am, my safety. How do I don't always let people know I'm a solo female in a van. Like, there are things you can do to kind of not let people know. And my biggest thing is I have a very big dog.
Yeah, and I think that's gotta, if nothing else, for your just how you think about it, has to feel better, has to feel a little less angsty maybe.
So you wait all these years. How did you finally make the leap to do it?
Well, I had, so first of all, my kids are a little older. My youngest is 20. And I have a 22-year-old and a 36-year-old. But they're good. They're in good places in their lives. They're very independent. And, I keep in regular contact, but, they don't need me. They don't need me to do things for them right now. So that is a big deal. I'm fortunate my mom is, and her husband are happy and healthy, and my sister is. So I have nobody that really needs me right now. It's tough with my girlfriend, because I don't want to say that she needs me, but not in the same way.
Yes, but she's also part of your plan. She's doing this with you because just to explain, you're only doing this for a short time, and then you're going to go back and then come out and do it full time again. What's the plan?
Yes, that's the plan. So, one of the things with doing this too, I had said, I don't know, maybe I'll hate it. Maybe I'll get out on the road and I'll be like, this sucks. I'm going to go home again. So I wasn't sure. I kind of left it open-ended, and we've been going back and forth on what we were going to do next year, because I am on a sabbatical, a 1-year sabbatical from teaching. And I had to let my district know by March 1st whether or not I would be returning in the fall. And it was a really difficult decision. And there's enough things that line up with my girlfriend's family and her circumstances and mine, it makes more sense to go back and then spend the time and effort and really get ourselves in a position to get going then when we can. But I think one more year will make a big difference. So I'm on the road now till mid-May is my plan.
And what are you getting accomplished in this year? Like, what was your goal to figure out for this 1 year that you get to test it out?
I'm writing. My pace is not what I'd like it to be, but I feel good about where I'm at and what I'm getting down, and to try this out. I've spent a lot of years in Illinois, and some really beautiful areas, and great people, but I'm so sick and tired of it. I'm trying to see something new, and it's nice to go to see new things, meet new people.
Well, someone could say you could just do it on the weekends. You don't have to give up your whole life and move into a van, right? But what's the call for the van? Like, what's pushing you to do this?
I think there's a little bit of a challenge with the simplifying life. I started, I don't know, it was over 10 years ago, kind of started thinking about possessions and stuff with kind of a Buddhist mentality. I read a bunch of stuff about Buddhism and changing a mindset to accumulating things and trying to get rid of things. So I stopped accumulating things. I started to get rid of things. And it has just really continued to pick up steam over the course of the last 10, 15 years. And every time I do, and every time I get rid of another wave of stuff, life just gets easier. It's more enjoyable not to have to deal with all these possessions, and getting rid of my house, not having that to worry about. It's just kind of another step in that, but it's just been so liberating. The less stuff I have.
Did you base your entire trip on your first book, or was there some other plan?
No, it is not on the first book. There's this part of the trip. There's a couple other places in the book that I had never been to that I wrote depending on Google and Google Maps, Google Earth, but I haven't. They're kind of out of the way. So this part, just kind of wanted to lay eyes on it. Otherwise, I was winding through and visiting friends. I saw a couple friends I got together with, people I hadn't seen in over 30 years. And that was really cool. That's a long time between seeing people. But it was great to catch up. And so I've been kind of meandering and stopping in and saying hi to people.
When is your year up, by the way? When did you actually get on the road?
I got on the road just after the first of the year. I don't know if it was the third or the fourth. I left, and it was below freezing for the first 2 weeks practically. I finally got to warm weather, and I'm done I have to be back in Illinois in mid-May I'm giving a talk at the library, what I'm really excited about.
And so you've only been doing this since the beginning of January then?
Yes, it's been out for about, 2 months, almost 2.5 now, but yeah, it's not that long.
No, not that long. But in that time, is there something that was like a huge aha moment for you, or something you learned that you didn't think you knew before?
Yeah. So one of the things in doing this I think makes it a lot of fun for me. I know what makes it a lot of fun for me is I have social media, and I taught high school for about 15 years, and a lot of my friends and stuff on social media are all these people in their 20s now. It's all these kids, all these former students. And it is, it's really been a great other part of teaching that I didn't really think about. Staying in touch with these people. I got together with a few former students in Texas. But they're really fun. And one of the things that came up was sometimes I'll have these really positive messages from these kids who are nice kids, but my God, not students. Terrible student, wonderful kid. And I feel a little strange that they're like, hey man, go, that's great. And I'm like, I think I flunked that kid. But I was thinking about it and I was like, I don't know if I ever actually taught anyone anything about civics. But when I get these messages, they knew I at least gave a shit about my subject, and I gave a shit about them. And so going back and teaching next year, that I think is really going to be in the front of my mind. Because it gets frustrating when you feel like sometimes you're trying harder than the kid to, to do this stuff, and you're like, come on, man, you can do this.
So you think it's going to make you a better teacher?
Yeah, I think it'll be good for, I don't know if it'll make me a better teacher, but it'll be good for me to remember when I am frustrated with a kid who's not doing the things that isn't always the ultimate impact you can make. Not whether or not the kid remembers the Constitution, but maybe that, at least at some point, somebody believed that they could get this done.
Oh.
Because, there's all sorts of different circumstances people have in their homes. Not everyone comes to school with the same advantages.
Right. Or ability or any of it, right? We're all given the same thing, but not everyone can handle the same thing, successfully. Absolutely.
Right. And that, that's such a weird age anyway. There's so much other shit going on in your life when you're that age. School sometimes is the last thing on your mind.
Absolutely. I was really more concerned about my friends.
Yeah.
Having friends and not being able to go to parties because my parents are really strict, which is why I'm now out in a van.
Oh, there you go.
living my best life.
We know why you are.
Right. You can't keep me in a box. I'm going out. So let's talk about your book. How many books have you written?
Just the one. Just the one so far. I'm working on another one.
And it took you a very short time, I understand, to write this book. How long did it take you?
Oh, yeah. It was only like maybe 15, 18 years, something like that. That's it. So Maybe I'll get another one in before I die.
Maybe. Yeah, I think you've got time. You've got some time. But this book is what really had me so interested in your story, because you told me you were actually traveling and writing from the road, which is great. Mm-hmm. And because we do get a lot of solitude, but you didn't where we met because there were so many people.
That was part of, I'm like, all right, I got to get out of here. It was, we were having so much fun. It made it hard to get, to stay focused.
Yeah. So, and I want to stay focused on the book because I could digress into that whole thing, but it was a lot of fun and we met some amazing people and I'm really thankful. But your book that you took a long time to write, tell me a little bit about the book.
It's a couple of people who are very disappointed and frustrated with how their 20s went. They've both been stuck for different reasons. They're both just 30, and they're working on getting unstuck. Like, how do I get out of this rut? I'm disappointed in myself for where I am at this stage of my life. But the one character has his father keeping him there. He has a elderly father that he takes care of, and so his being stuck is a little different. I don't want to give away Sophie's story is the female protagonist. But once you get unstuck, then what do? I was always jealous of people who knew exactly what they wanted to do from a young age. I have a cousin of mine. She wanted to be a pilot. Well, that's a pretty simple path. Not that it's a simple path, but it's a known path. If you want to be a pilot, here's what you do. Take these classes, you major in this kind of a little more direct route. So I always felt made it easy for people who knew what they wanted to do. I did not know what the hell I wanted to do. So that's kind of shows up in the male protagonist, that he's struggling with that. One, to break free. And then if you break free, well then, okay, so what? Where are you going to go? What are you going to do? What do you want to do? And that's hard to figure out, I think.
But you were a teacher. So at some point you made a decision about what you wanted to do. Or have you had many different jobs?
Yeah, I've had like 30 different jobs. I only taught for the last 15 years. I didn't start teaching until I was almost 40. But I had a career in bars and restaurants. I tended bar for years. And then I had a career in accounting. I was like a full charge bookkeeper. I wasn't ever a CPA or anything, but I did that for about 5 years. And then, or a little longer. And then I was in sales. And I'm a horrible salesman. That was brutal. But, sometimes you do what you got to do to pay the bills. And then I went back to school and got my teaching certificate, and I started teaching in my late 30s.
The people in your book, don't they go and travel? Or do they travel together?
Well, let's see. So one of them travels. And so Sophie, the one character, she is the one who gets an atlas at the gas station and heads for the coast. And she's not sure what she's going to do other than she's going to go and see the damn ocean because she never did before. So, but I'm trying to think how to say without giving stuff away. Spoiler alert.
No, it's fine. I think so here's my question. You wrote the book without going to any of these places yourself first.
Right.
So is the book kind of a reflection on what you have wanted to do that you didn't know where? I mean, is this book about you?
No, it's actually kind of it's an imagined me in the sense that so the male character guy, he is stuck in this town and he's 30 and he never left this little town. And it's actually this town, Richmond, Illinois. It's the town I grew up in. I moved back to that area in my early 30s to take care of my father, who was sick and needed a ton of help. And so that was a big part of the reason to move back there. And I was in this little tiny town that hadn't changed at all in 12 years. And I thought, wow, what if I'd been stuck? I'd gone and done things. I had lived out of the area and I'd had some adventures or whatever. What if I hadn't been able to get out? What if I'd been stuck the whole time? So it's kind of
an alternate reality you.
Yeah. Because it was so important to me at that time in my life to get out of Richmond. It felt claustrophobic. I really, really, really wanted to get out of this town. It's 1,000 people, wonderful people, but some people are happy to be in that town the whole life, and that's great. And some people want to get out and see more things, and it's just a different preference.
So let's go back to traveling in the van. Because right now you're at a Walmart parking lot. Is that where you're camping tonight?
Yeah. And it's actually, I didn't think I would, or I didn't think I would really like to, but as long as they're not right next to a highway, it's not bad. And it's just easy sometimes.
Did you have to ask them if you could camp there or? And the reason I ask is I've been seeing some people say that some Walmarts are no longer continuing that practice.
So Richard, one of the guys that we were hanging out with there on the beach, he had said there were some places on the coast in Florida that the Walmart, they have local ordinances against it. Walmart doesn't care, but the local cops have ordinances against it. But if I see other people parked, or if it's a huge parking lot, I don't know. Nobody's bothered me yet.
For sure. So ideally, though, when you go to do this full time, you go back to school, you finish, you guys pack up the house, and you guys head out on the road. What type of nomad are you going to be? Do you see yourself doing campgrounds, state parks, national parks, or just boondocking it?
I like the idea of boondocking it, but having done a lot of traveling out west, there's more opportunities when you have the BLM land and all the national forest land. I think it's a little easier to do.
Much, much easier.
Yeah, you get, the further east you go, the less federal land there is, it seems.
Yeah, it's more populated. It's more private property. There are some beautiful state parks, but you have to make a reservation. And because of the type of year, you've got your snowbirds, and because the border opened back up, Canadians are now down here as well.
Yeah, I don't want to stay in a campground every night. It's that can be a lot of fun. It can kind of be like what we had the last few nights there on Pass Christian, but I don't want to do that every night in a campground. Plus, it adds up. It makes it a lot more expensive if you're going to pay to be somewhere every night.
Oh, absolutely. Did you come out here with a budget for since you knew you're only doing a year? Did you like estimate your fuel costs and like your food and laundry expenses? And did you budget for this?
I really track my money closely, and I have for years. I know what I spend. Gas has been a bit of a surprise. And someone asked me, like, how much mileage am I getting? And I said, I don't even want to know. I know I should check, but I just think I would be depressed at the answer, and I'd rather not know right now.
Because it won't change. It probably would change nothing, right? Other than you'd know.
Yeah, I would just.
But you're still going to go.
I would just feel bad about it then.
Okay, I can understand that.
And God, gas just jumped up again. It's expensive.
Yeah, it did.
That's been the biggest one. I think I'm spending about what I thought I would spend. Otherwise, knock on wood, I haven't had any repairs. Everything is in great shape in here. I haven't had any big issues. So
that's really nice.
But the gas is expensive because you don't get that good of gas mileage. I'm used to a little car and a little more efficient than this.
Now, let's say I'm one of your students. I'm 22 years old now, and I admire what you're doing, and I want to get a van, and I'm going to do what you're doing. What advice do you give that 22-year-old?
Lower your expectations. People, it's because I don't think anyone thinks it's sexy to sleep in a Walmart. Yeah, just if you don't have expectations, I think the lower expectations you have going into something, the easier it is to be pleasantly surprised. If you're not expecting a lot, I mean, don't romanticize it, and don't be afraid to fail. If it sucks, well, you don't have to do it forever. If it's not what you thought it would be, move on. You can always go back to whatever.
Yeah, especially at 22. You can start something, finish something, and start something again over and over again many times over.
Yeah, well, that's what I did.
Yes. How far will you go in this year? How far away? Since I know you have to go back because you have a book signing.
Once I get to Mexico Beach on the panhandle of Florida, I'm going to start working my way up to Richmond, Virginia. And then I'll be picking up my girlfriend there. She's going to fly into Richmond. We're going to take a week and go down to Savannah. And then she'll fly home from Savannah. And then I think I'm going to go out to the Florida Keys. I've never been out to Key West. I have a couple of friends down there. I've got some people in Florida I can pop in and say hi to. And then on the way back, I'm going to meander. I got tickets for a blues fest in Memphis, which I'm pretty excited about. I've missed live music with COVID. So I think it'll depend on how long I'm in the Keys and how direct my route will be heading back north. I'd like to just kind of meander and continue to stay off of interstates, but we'll see how much fun I have in the Keys.
And are you using a camping app to find the free campsites?
I go back and forth. I've done a bit of both, but lately I've really just been kind of parking wherever. I'm doing a lot more stealth. I feel a lot more comfortable or confident where I'm like, nobody's going to bother me, and I just park somewhere. I parked at some bird sanctuary. I parked in some wildlife refuge. Some street parking. And I don't know, I'm good with it. I don't like spending a lot of time looking for a place.
So you're just winging it completely. You're like, this looks good. But see, here's the difference between you and me. Your van is nondescript. My van looks, I've got, I got a bike hanging out the back. I got stickers, and I'm clearly an RV.
That was a big part of the reason I wanted the van, because I wanted to be able to be, to do the stealth. And
now, I mean, I can see that you are camping just because you've got the solar on top. But for most people, they don't know what they're looking at.
Yeah, I think, sometimes I think with that rack, the way that rack is, it makes it look more like a work van.
Your lights look like a work truck.
Yeah. I don't know, but nobody's bothered me. And so that the one guy, I think Richard, inspired me too. He says, 5 years, I pay nothing. He never pays. He just parks wherever. And he's got that 30-foot long thing.
He's in a Class A. Yes, I missed that. He says in 5 years, he's never paid to camp.
Yes, he said 5 years he has not paid, not for a single night. He does, so he'll do golf courses and he'll golf there and you can stay, but they do make you golf. And he talks to people too. And just, like if he's in a restaurant, he'll be like, I just ask him if he can stay there for the night. And
I feel that's paying. Okay, listen to me. I feel that's paying. I feel like that's, if you are golfing, you've paid to stay. If I'm buying a meal, I've paid to stay. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying he's paid to stay.
Yeah, I can see that. But he's a big golfer anyway. I've done a couple of those Harvest Host sites where, I don't know, I bought some soap from somebody. I don't know, like some like homemade. It was nice soap, but I got to use the Dr. Bronner stuff for the van because I dump my water on the ground, so I can't really use it. So I gave it to, I think, my next Boondocker site, to the host. I was like, here, you want some fancy soap?
You just gave it away. So the thing you had to buy to camp, you ended up gifting.
Yeah. And, if it's a store, somebody had a store. So I'm like, well, that's cool. I can get food there. I got to get food anyway. But I haven't done like I know there's like wineries and breweries. I haven't done that, but I'd do a brewery. They're usually booked though.
I will be interested to see how you finish out the year. I would be interested to hear how Florida goes for you, because I think you being stealth is going to help you out a great deal, because it is hard to find camping in Florida, especially in the Keys. And they're very strict down there. Yeah, so I think that'll be interesting. I wish you all the luck with that. And then I know you'll go back to work for a year, and then when you and your girlfriend hit the road, perhaps you both can join me on my Love on the Road podcast that I plan to do.
That would be great.
We can hear about that story. I'm excited about your second book. Thank you for trading me for your first book. Welcome to your life. But it was great meeting you, and I look forward to hearing about your successes that I feel you're going to have. Safe travels to you.
And you.
Thank you. But yeah, I look forward to hearing more of your stories, and make sure you let me know when your book is out in 15 years? What is it going to be?
Yeah, 15 to 18. Thank you so much. This was fun.
Welcome. All right. You be safe out there.
You too.
What started at 22, he is now doing. He took the steps necessary to create his life. I love the title of his book, Welcome to Your Life. Paul's life may be easy with everyone being okay with him being on the road, including a supportive girlfriend. I know from reading posts in various groups that not everyone has that kind of support. And going against the well wishes of others to have a non-traditional life is not easy for most people. So all I can say to encourage anyone is to remind you and remind myself in the process. We only get this life, so make sure it's the one you want. Take steps every day to get there, and eventually you will arrive. Look how long it took Paul to write his first book, but he did it. Thank you so much for listening. You can get a copy of Paul's book, Welcome to Your Life, on Amazon. And be sure to follow Paul at P. Costoff on Instagram. That's PCOSTOFF, or Paul Costoff on TikTok, or his website at paulcostoff.com. Thank you for listening to Milo Talks. Be sure to check out my website at nextexitmilo.com. There you can see links to podcasts, art, and books created from the road. You can also follow Willie and me on Instagram or Facebook at Next Exit Milo.